And so now let's talk about anxiety. How does it feel to be anxious? It feels like you're hyper vigilant. You're like really aware. You're overthinking about bad things that could happen. What's interesting is that anxiety is quite individual and unique in each person, like what their form of anxiety is. So my form of anxiety is about physical danger. My anxious thoughts have always been about like other people. And like, is this guy gonna attack me? It's always about like physical fights, violence. Whereas another person's anxiety can be social anxiousness. They could be like obsessively, like anxiously thinking about the social dynamics in this like group of friends that they're in. And they feel activated. And even though that seems like, wait, why would you be anxious about, a group of friends? That's still quite a primal thing. When you think about being accepted into the tribe, that's a very important part of animal and human nature. Anxiety can lead to panicking, fear, aggressiveness, and it even has very negative effects on your physical health. When you're anxious and hypervigilant, what's actually happening on a physiological level is that you're entering the fight or flight mode. So that's like the survival mode inside of us, which is kicking in and really telling us, okay, do we fight this person or do we run away? And when that happens, when the survival mode kicks in, a lot of our normal body's processes are stopped so that we can allocate resources to like the real survival mechanisms inside of us. Now, again, I'm going to give you like the bro science explanation. You can go find like the specific scientific details if you want. But when you're anxious, it's like your brain and your body is telling things like, for example, your muscles to like get ready for fighting or for running away. But by allocating resources into these short-term survival things like, faster thinking and like stronger, more agile muscles, resources get taken away from more of our long-term health organs. So for example, a lot of people with anxiety also suffer from like gut problems, digestive problems, because that's like a long-term health thing which experiences like negativity because all of our resources are being allocated otherwise. I know this sounds like maybe too much information, but like if I have some kind of, intense anxiety in moments, a few hours after that, I'm probably gonna have diarrhea. It doesn't happen anywhere near as much as it used to, but bro, I know this is like too much information, but you do need to know these things. Like I lived for years and years and years shitting 4, 5, 6 times a day. And never once was this cylinder, bro. It was always like liquidy pieces. And I know that's so much like information, but like I think it's so important that you know the real unfiltered truths of a mental illness like this. Like it's not nice. So why do we get anxious? Why does our body go into this hyper-vigilant state? Now, first of all, we have to understand, just like with depression, like this is something that we should feel grateful for. Anxiety is just our body's survival mechanism trying to protect us. It's just that sometimes when that survival mechanism kicks in, it kind of gets glitched, it kind of gets messed up, and it kind of stays on far longer than it actually should. So what may have happened is that at a young age, there was something quite traumatizing and scary that happened to us. Most likely it was something to do with our parents just, being violent or whatever. And so there's a chance that any of these traumatic incidents that our body gets stuck in this anxious state and it just kicks into overdrive trying to save us. And so then even when we leave this dangerous situation, our body and mind is just on overdrive, just hypervigilant, just making sure we don't go back to that same dangerous situation again. It's of utmost importance that you reframe the anxious thoughts and the feeling of hypervigilance. Reframe your mind with this, because for so long we've lived thinking that these things are bad, that they're the enemy. I don't want to be anxious. I don't want to be depressed. We have to be grateful and actually just see, okay, interestingly, this is actually my brain and my body doing a good thing for me. Anxiety isn't the enemy. It's trying to protect you, because there was a moment in your life where you couldn't protect yourself. There was a point when you got scared so heavily that now your body's just really vigilant. It's like your body's just sending signals all around, just saying like, come on, like we've got to protect him. That brings like a tear to my eye, because for so long I hated this part of me. And I realized that so much progress comes when you realize the utility, the value of depression and anxiety. How do you cure anxiety? I believe the single greatest tool, that the practice that you can implement, is mindfulness. And you're going to learn about that in this guide. Now let's go over the actual practical things that you can do to improve your mental health. And